didn't push, didn't pry. You just looked at me different, like you already knew why. I was holding it together like I always do. You didn't need a confession, you could feel it too. I'm used to having to explain why something feels the way it does, but you just stayed right there, and that was enough. You knew before I said a word, heard what I didn't say. You saw it in the quiet, in the way I looked away. I didn't have to translate or defend how I felt. You knew before I said a word, and I finally felt I understood. You didn't rush to reassure me, didn't try to make it light. You didn't tell me it would pass or that I'd be alright. You let the moment be heavy, but not too much to hold. You didn't make it about fixing, you just didn't let me go. I didn't feel like a problem, I didn't feel unseen. I felt like someone finally noticed what this all means to me. You knew before I said a word, heard what I didn't say. You noticed every small thing I thought I hid away. I didn't have to justify why my heart felt the way it felt. You knew before I said a word, and I didn't feel alone in it. I've known love that needed explaining, love that needed proof. This feels different, this feels true. You didn't ask me to be stronger, you didn't ask me to pretend. You just met me where I was and stayed until the end. I didn't need advice, I just needed presence. You knew before I said a word, before I could find my voice. You listened to the silence like it was a choice. I didn't have to spell it out or carry it myself. You knew before I said a word, and I finally felt understood. Finally understood. You didn't fill the space with answers, didn't try to calm me down. You let the moment take its time, let the truth come out. I'm used to being hurried, like feelings are a race, but you sat with me in silence, like we had nowhere else to be. I kept waiting for the pressure, for the moment you'd pull away, but you stayed right where you were and let me find my way. You didn't rush me, didn't ask for more than I could give you. Let me breathe inside the feeling, let me live didn't need a timeline or reason at all. You didn't treat my quiet like something to fix. You understood some things just take longer to exist. I've been loved in ways that push me, loved in ways that needed speed, but this felt steady, this felt real to me. You didn't rush me, didn't ask me to move on. You let me stay where I was standing till I was strong. I didn't have to skip the hurt just to prove I'd be okay. You didn't rush me, and that changed everything. I've learned that patience is a language most people never speak, but you said everything I needed by letting me be me. Thank you for the time, thank you for the space. You didn't rush me, didn't need me to be whole. You stayed present in the waiting, let me unfold. I didn't feel like a burden or something in the way. You didn't rush me, and I finally felt safe. I felt safe. I changed the subject halfway through. You noticed, didn't ask me why. I laughed a little louder than I felt. You saw right through that smile. I've learned how to keep things moving so no one looks too close. But you caught the pause in my voice like it mattered the most. I didn't have the words ready, didn't know how to explain, but you didn't need a sentence. You understood the change. You heard what I didn't say in the spaces I left behind. You listened past the conversation, straight into my mind. I didn't have to say I'm not okay or spell it out somehow. You heard what I didn't say and stayed right here with me. I'm used to being overlooked if I don't make it clear. Used to people missing things I'm too tired to repeat. But you noticed when I pulled away just a half step back. You didn't take it personal, you just stayed intact. You didn't need me to unpack it, didn't need a reason why. You let the feeling be the feeling and let the moment lie. You heard what I didn't say in the quiet. like it was a choice. I didn't have to fight to be seen or push to be felt. You heard what I didn't say, and I didn't feel alone with it. No, I didn't feel I told you something I don't say out loud. Didn't dress it up, didn't soften the truth. I waited for the moment to shift, for you to see me the way others do. I've learned to brace for distance once the real parts show, but you stayed right where you were, like nothing had changed at all. I kept waiting for the judgment, for the weight in your eyes, but you just nodded slowly, like you already understood why. You didn't look at me differently, didn't pull your hand away. You didn't treat my honesty like something to be afraid of. I didn't feel smaller for opening up. I wish I had stayed quiet instead. You didn't look at me differently, and I finally felt accepted. Being careful once the truth is on the table. Used to people rewriting me into something more manageable, but you didn't need to label or explain what I said. You just let it be a part of me, not the whole of who I am. You didn't try to reassure me or tell me I was fine. You just let me be human in real time. You didn't look at me differently, didn't change the way you stayed. You didn't make my truth feel heavy or something I should hide away. I didn't feel exposed or fragile. I wish I'd taken it back. You didn't look at me differently, and that meant everything. I've known love that kept score, love that flinched when things got real. This felt steady, this felt safe, this felt like something I could feel. Thank you for seeing me and staying. You didn't look at me differently after all I let you see. You didn't turn my honesty into a liability. I didn't feel like too much or someone hard to love. You didn't look at me differently, you just knew me better. You didn't flinch when I talked too long, didn't joke when I went too deep. You didn't try to redirect me or tell me what I should keep. I've learned how to shrink the edges so I don't take up too much room. But you listened like there was nowhere else you needed to be going soon. I waited for the suggestion, for the gentle rewrite, but you stayed right where I was and didn't ask me to adjust my life. You didn't ask me to be less, didn't ask me to tone it down. You didn't make me feel like loving deeply was something I should work around. I didn't feel like too much or something hard to accept. You didn't ask me to be less, you let me be exactly what I am. I'm used to hearing you're intense like it's something to fix, used to feeling like my feelings are a little too rich. But you didn't try to soften me or make it easier on you. You let my heart be honest and still stayed through it too. You didn't call it heavy, didn't call it wrong. You just held the space steady and let me go. You didn't ask me to be less, didn't ask me to explain. You didn't treat my death like it was something strange. I didn't have to fold myself into something easier to digest. You didn't ask me to be less, you let me be exactly this. I've been myself smaller before just to keep someone close. This felt different, this felt like I could finally exhale without losing you. That mattered more than you know. You didn't ask me to be less or easier to love. You didn't make my truth feel fragile or ask me to toughen up. I didn't feel like I had to perform or pass some kind of test. You didn't ask me to be less, you just stayed and let me rest. Yeah, you let me rest. Mm. I didn't realize how tense I was till I felt my shoulders fall. Didn't know I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. I've learned to stay a little guarded even when things feel kind. But something in the way you listen let my breath come back in time. I kept expecting the shift, the part where things go cold, but you stayed steady and I noticed I wasn't holding on so close. I didn't have to brace with you, didn't have to stay alert. I didn't need to read the room or soften every word. I didn't feel like love was fragile or something I could lose. I didn't have to brace with you, and that felt new. You didn't change when I relaxed, didn't need me on edge. You didn't mistake my calm for something you could neglect. like that's how it stayed alive. But this felt quiet in a way that didn't scare my heart. I stopped rehearsing responses, stopped waiting for the turn. I realized I was safe enough to just be where I was. I didn't have to brace with you, didn't have to stay prepared. I didn't feel like closeness came with some hidden dare. I didn't need to guard my softness or protect what's true. I didn't have to brace with you, and I finally knew. My body learned it first, before my mind believed that love doesn't have to hurt to feel real to me. I could just sit and be. I didn't have to brace with you or keep my armor on. I didn't feel like peace was temporary or something that'd be gone. I didn't need to stay ready for the moment I'd lose. I didn't have to brace with you, and that's when I knew. That's when I've been surrounded and still felt lonely. Been hurt but not felt at all. I've talked myself in circles just to soften the truth before it falls. But sitting there beside you, I didn't feel the need to fill the quiet or explain myself or be anything but me. I've known presence that felt distant and closeness that felt thin, but this was different. This went deeper than skin. I didn't feel alone with you, even when we didn't speak. I didn't feel like I had to perform or stay on my feet. I didn't feel like I disappeared in someone else's view. I didn't feel alone with you. You didn't need constant connection, didn't pull me into life. You let me drift inside myself and stayed right by my side. I didn't feel misunderstood or half received. I felt like someone finally knew what it takes to sit with me. I didn't have to make sense, I didn't have to be clear. You understood the feeling even when I wasn't ready to hear. I didn't feel alone with you in the stillness and the You just stay present and let the moment be okay. That's all I ever needed. I didn't feel alone with you, even inside my own skin. I didn't feel like I was waiting for something else to begin. I didn't feel like loving meant losing or being something new. I didn't feel alone with you, and I don't forget that feeling. No, no, I don't forget that feeling. No, and I don't forget that feeling. I started to tell you how I felt, then stopped halfway through. Not because I didn't trust you, just didn't have the words to use. I'm used to filling in the gaps, making sure I'm clear, but you didn't lean in closer. You didn't need to hear. I waited for the questions, for the look that says go on, but you just nodded slowly like you already knew what was going on. You didn't ask me to explain, didn't need the whole story. You didn't make me dig it up or relive what hurt me. I didn't have to translate or justify how I felt. You didn't ask me to explain, you just understood. I've known people who needed details, needed reasons, needed proof, like my feelings were invalid till they made sense to you. But you didn't ask for clarity, didn't ask me to rewind. You trusted what I felt, even when it wasn't lying. I didn't feel interrogated or like I owed you more. You accepted the feeling without opening the door. You didn't ask me to explain, didn't ask me to relive. You didn't treat my silence like something you couldn't forgive. I didn't feel misunderstood or pushed to say it right. You didn't ask me to explain, you stayed with me anyway. I spent years breaking myself down so I could be understood. You let me keep the pieces whole, and that felt good. Sometimes understanding isn't language, sometimes it's just staying.